Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Ondas. Today is Monday, February 10th, 2025, and I hope you're ready for some tips and tricks on how to make some really stunning window cards, or shaker cards is what I meant to say. We are going to be making a shaker card tonight. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that I do. There's lots of ways to do them, but this is kind of what works good for me. And with it, we're going to be using the Memorable Blooms bundle. Now, with this bundle, I'm only using the sentiments, but we're going to work with two of the dies, and I'm going to show you some tips for using those too. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you'll see and hit that subscribe button. And if you're with me live or catch me on the replay, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with me and hopefully get inspired to do some stamping and card making. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to flip this down so we can get started. Lots to show you. Okay, this is the card we're going to make today. Now, we're using different colors, using paper from the Everyday Happiness, which is a new online exclusive, and we're going to use different paper from that designer series paper pack, and I'm going to show you how I made this. So I'm going to move this off to the side. Now, if you're wondering where that bundle is, it is on page 50 of your mini catalog. This is the bundle that we're using. So let me show you the paper very quickly. This was actually, I believe, more for scrapbooking, but I loved the colors and thought it was so pretty. I think you get 3 patterns, 4 of each. It is 12 by 12 that I have loved using it for card making. I love the colors. I love the washed out, gosh, my mind blanked, but just beautiful. So we're going to be using this one today. The card I just showed you, I used this one. So let's get started. Now, please don't worry about measurements, instructions. I will have all that for you. There'll be a link right down below in the YouTube video description, or it'll be on my website. I'm going to have to say this week by Wednesday at the end of the day. My husband is having a hip replacement tomorrow, and just that's where my focus will be tomorrow. So by Wednesday. So we are starting off with an 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This card is going to be portrait. So just going to burnish it and push that off to the side. Now, I have a piece of designer series paper that we're going to use as a layer. And this is the one, this has wild wheat, and I think it's smoky slate, and then Lost Lagoon. I really think that's pretty. But before we can do anything with this, we need to make our window for our shaker card. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. And these are the Memorable Blooms dies. Now, these all go with the stamps. This is a detailed die. We are using these. These are 2 separate dies. One to cut, what is that, an octagon or hexagon, I guess, image. And this one is a detailed die cut. So I'm going to take these off to the side. And to do this, you need to cut your window for your shaker card. So I just eyeball it, and when I have it centered, I am going to run this through the die cut machine. Now, if you're new to die cutting, you're going to use plate number 1, plate number 2, and then 2 of plate number 3, 1 on the bottom and one on the top. And then you're going to run it through your cut and emboss machine. Once you do that, you're going to get something that looks, or not something, you're going to get a layer that's going to look just like this. So you're going to end up with this hexagon, which you can use later on. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kim. Thank you for joining. And now you have your window that we're going to use on here. I wanted to dress my window up a little bit. So I decided I wanted to use the new Beautiful Butterflies hybrid embossing folder. Now the hybrid embossing folders, if you're don't know what those are, those come with dies that will actually cut out the images as it embosses. However, I don't want to cut out any images. What I want to do is use these areas around to emboss my frame. So we'll call this my frame. So I'm going to place this in here so that the biggest part of that butterfly is in the center. I want to be able to catch all these little details down below. So you place it where you want it and run it through your embossing folder. To do that, this is a 3D or hybrid embossing folder. You're going to run it through using plate number 1 and plate number 4. When you run any of your embossing folders through, you want the folded edge at the top. If you run it through starting from the bottom, you run a risk of cracking that embossing folder at the fold line. And I know because I've done it before. So once you've run this through, this is what we get. Okay, isn't that pretty? So we now have our frame, we have our background. What do we need? We need a window. So I have a window sheet, and I've cut my window sheet 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now, one of the things, and I think it's here somewhere, may have walked away. I use a piece of used dryer sheets, and I wipe my windows off on both sides just to make sure I get the dust or anything off of there. It also helps, at least I've found, with some static. So the other thing is you could use is one of those little small Swipper hand wipes. That works also. So I'm ready to make my window for my shaker card. So to do that, I need to adhere this window sheet to the back of my frame. I don't use glue for this because if you get glue on your window sheet, it's really hard to get off and you're going to see smudges. So I do one of two things. I either use my Stampin' Seal or I use the two-sided tape, the tear-in tape. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal for this. Now on the card I showed you, I did use tear-in tape because it takes a little longer, but I feel the tear-in tape seals a little better because sometimes the Stampin' Seal skips. And I want this as close to the edge as I possibly can get it because I don't want my little embellishments that I put in for shakers for my shaker pieces to slip through. So, whoa, look at that. Oh, doggone it. Hence why it's better to use your two-sided tape. I think I can work with that, and so that it looks like it's never been torn. So let me show you what we're going to do. I am going to pull in my tear-in tape. Okay, and I'm going to cut a piece rather than start this over. And I'm going to put these together so that you can't even see that they've been torn apart. Let's see if I can get that pretty even. And look at that. So we can't even tell that that was torn because of the embossing. So let's go ahead and we're going to put on our plastic window. And I'm going to go ahead and peel off this little piece of tear-in tape here. I really like tear-in tape. I tend to use it much more than you see me do because I just like that it adheres so well. But I also like that I can get it as close as I want to my edges. So let's go ahead and remove this. All right, and we're going to put our window on. So here's my window. I'm going to give it another wipe with my little dryer sheet. And let's go ahead and we're going to adhere this on. Okay. I'm going to give it a good press around the edges. All right. So here's our window. And you can see we can't even tell it was torn. Now we're ready to, let's go ahead and adhere this. So I am going to add some glue. And I have a couple tips when it comes to doing our window or the shaker portion. Now this is much smaller than I normally would put for a layer. But because this is 4 by 5 1/4, I only needed a smaller amount. So I did 3 3/4 by 5. And you can see that's going to cover that perfectly. But we need to build it up because we want to put some shaker pieces in there. So to do that, we are going to line right around the hexagon with our strips, our Stampin' Up strips. And I'm going to take one whole strip and I am going to build this up right around the edge. And I'm going to show you. I want to stay behind the white portion. I don't want to go over that window. And I'm just going to work this, and this bends and is very pliable and works really well going around the bends or the edges. So let's go ahead. I'm going to finish this up. Now, one of these almost goes all the way around. Okay. And then we're going to come in. And it does kind of start to come apart because of you bending it, but that's okay. And then we're going to bring this around. And this little piece that jumped off, we're going to cut off and use that. We're going to need a little bit more than that. So I'm going to pick this up and bring it over just a little bit closer, which is easy to do. And we're going to need another one of these. Oh, where'd they go? Right here. We're going to need another one of these foam adhesive strips. So let's pull this out. And again, I'm going to take a piece of one. And let's go from here. We're going to start where we left off. I butt them up right against one another and then bring it right up to the last one. And now I cut that off. Now you can stick this back on to the plastic or the liner, and you're ready to use it again. So this is now framed to hold our shaker pieces in the middle. Now for your card or that window portion, you can use the strips, you can use Stampin' Dimensionals, but I'm going to show you what I use and tell you why I use it. I use these, I save all my white scraps. You're going to laugh at me, but I keep them in this plastic container. I use those for my greetings. I use them if I need to stamp something small like a leaf, but I love to use them with my window or shaker cards. I cut 1/4-inch strips, the length I need, and I glue them together. So I have these all ready to go, except for this one, which needs 2 more strips. Now I'm using 6 strips, and I just want to show you how I put them together. I just glue them one on top of another and make sure that one edge is even. You can see that. That's 5, and then we're going to add the 6th one, and we're ready to adhere these to our card. Now, why do I use these in place of Stampin' Dimensionals or the foam adhesive strips? I will use the foam strips. I like these because they provide stability to my card layer. I don't have any gaps. It supports it all the way around. So what we're going to do is go ahead and adhere these with glue. And you can see this is starting to come up. And I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. Okay. We're going to adhere these all the way around this card base. So I have 2 sets that are 1/4-inch by 5 1/4, and 2 that are 3 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead, and I'm using glue. And I'm just going to add some glue to here. And I'm going right up along the edge of my layer. And I want to make sure that my edge matches up with that strip of cardstock that I put together with those 6 layers. Now you could use tear and tape for this. I find the glue works great. You can see I have a little bit overlapping here on the edge. All I'm going to do is take my scissors and snip that off, just like you would if you were using a layer of designer series paper. I don't have enough glue on the end here, so I'm going to add some. And remember, this is going on an embossed layer if you decide to emboss. So you want to make sure you get some good adhesive there. And that looks good. You can't even see it. So let's go ahead and add the others. So I'm going to add this right along my strip here. Now, if you have questions as we go along, please post them. I will try very hard to watch and answer your questions as we go along. Okay, so I want to make sure my edges match up. And to do that, I'm going to be looking at the right side of my layer. And I'm going to lay this down, matching my edges and making sure that I have good adherence. Okay, let's bring that up. Now, I don't have enough glue on that end, so I'm going to go ahead and add some more right to the layer. and then line these up. Okay, that looks good. Again, I have a little bit here. We're just going to trim right off. All right. Now these two layers should go in quite easily, and we're going to have to trim it down a little bit. So I'm going to take my scissors and just snip that off. And I'm going to go ahead and add my glue right to my layer. And we're going to pop this in right in between those other two. Now this needs trimmed back a little bit. And there we go. So right along the edge. And then the last one, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to trim this down. Make sure it's going to fit. Trim it just a touch more. And sometimes you know, even though you measure it out, once you get the other, the sides on, you may have to trim a little bit off. So let's go ahead and add this here. And there we go. All right, so here is our layer. It's all done, ready to go. Kim, I'm not sure that sand wouldn't get through that. I've never tried it, so I don't want to say that it would work. It's so fine. I have concerns that it may not. So what I do is I did get a little bit of glue from my fingers on here. So I'm just going to take, I have glasses cleaner for my glasses, and I'm just going to take that and wipe it gently. That's one way I can get the glue off. And then I just let it air dry. And it'll dry in just a minute. Okay, let's get that off. Okay, so let that dry. And we're going to get ready to put our card together. Now, I want to use some embellishments. So I brought in, these are old, use what you have. I have the subtle shimmer sequins, which I really like. But I also had some of these gold that I thought might look pretty with the wild wheat. So I am actually going to mix them. And I'm going to put my elements for my shaker card right here in the middle. And I'm going to add a few of the clear ones. And these do kind of, they are staticky at times and kind of stick to your fingers. But I like putting them in the middle and then putting my layer down over them. So let's add a few of these little sparkle gems. And I'm just going to pick a few off and add them. There we go. And I want to make sure they're in the center and away from my edges. Okay, now we're ready to adhere this. And I want to make sure that my foam is there. So I'm going to add glue. Now you could use tear and tape on this. It works well as long as you have enough of an edge to put it down. So I found that glue works just as well. And let's go ahead and add this. Okay. Now I'm careful to keep my fingers off. And I'm going to center this right over. And once you get it down, it's down. And I'm going to work around the edge where the foam is to make sure I get a really good seal so that my sequins or my gems, and then I'm going to go around the edge because I have glue and I want to make sure that that holds down well. Here's our shaker card. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So how are we going to finish this up? Well, let me show you. I have a piece of wild wheat, and I took a piece of, because this is such a detailed die, I took a piece of our backing, our adhesive backing, and I'm going to adhere it to the back of my cardstock. So I have cut a 3 3/4 inch. That's what I need to give myself just a little wiggle room with that die of the wild wheat, and a 3 3/4 inch piece of the double-sided tape. This is split, if you cut it in the right way, that you can go ahead and take one side off, adhere it down, pull off your other side, and now you're ready to cut your die. So when you cut it, you're going to have sticky on the back, and you'll be able to peel it off. Why did I use it? Because I don't want to risk using glue to adhere the die cut on the window sheet. So next, we'll take this, we'll adhere it. I take a little piece of sticky low tack tape and run it through. I run it through twice, especially when they're so detailed. This is what you'll end up with. You end up with two die, with the die cuts, and you can see that because you have the double-sided tape on the back, when you peel this off, and not all of it will come, but as you peel it off, it's going to take some of the small bits and pieces from your die cut out with it. So let's go ahead, and I am going to snip this, and you'll see why in a second. I don't want to rip my die cut, pulling the back off. So I'm just going to snip these small pieces, and now we can start to peel this off. So all you do is take your pick tool, or if you have nails to do that, mine are not, you just start to separate it and pull. Hold gently as you pull, and I sometimes will use my pick tool just to hold it down and work my way around. As I work my way around, you can see it's taking some of the die cut pieces with it out and some not. But I'm not going to worry about that. So here is our backing. And now I can take and just use my pick tool to pick out or push out the last few pieces of the die cut. And not a lot, but just a few. And they do come out very easily. Okay, so I think we're good. Let's push these out of the way. And I have one little piece here that I want to make sure I get rid of. All right. Now, this is going to fit right within that window. So I'm going to line it up on the inside edge of that white layer and gently press it down in place. And it sticks very easily. Here's your shaker card. I didn't press down so well. I'm going to take my bone folder, keep my fingers, because I have some glue on it, off, and work this just to press it down. This works very well, and it adheres well. So here's our window card. Now we need to add a sentiment. And I did die cut one. I die cut love and thanks. I tried to do it in the colors and it didn't show up as well. And I wanted it to be kind of bold. So I'm going to pop this up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And right at the base here. And the one thing that I did bring to see if it would work was some of the wild wheat ribbon. I wanted to see if I would be, how it would look if we popped it on under. And I'm not sure it's going to look okay, but let's just try it. So I'm just going to wrap this. And let's go back and forth. And if I were to put it on a diagonal, I'm not sure I'm going to like this, but let's see. I think I'm going to go without it. So let's go ahead and just adhere this on. And then we'll put our inside on and add just a few, maybe little gems. I did do the inside, and for my inside, it is 3 3/4 by 5. And I actually meant to cut a piece of wild wheat to adhere this onto the back of it. And I think I did not do that. So I will do that when we're done, but that will be on, and then we'll put that on the inside with a wild wheat backing. And you can add some gems to the outside of this. What I thought I would add is some of these faux glass dots and wild wheat. And let's just grab a couple small ones here. And I'm going to put one here. And let's add one up here. All right. So here is our shaker card. Let's move this out. Really, I think pretty easy. I hope you got some tips and tricks with it. Let me bring the other one back in and bring it back to me. Thank you, Kathleen. So I hope you enjoyed those tips and tricks for making a shaker card. I hope you'll give it a try. Use stamped sets that you have. Easy to cut some dies and even put some die cut images in the background of that designer series paper layer, and then add some of your little gems or shaker parts to go in there. Again, I will have this up for you by Wednesday, end of the day. And if you did enjoy today's video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It'll help me grow my channel. Feel free to share it. Stay safe and well. And I plan on being here with you on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Bye, everybody.